Stand by to launch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1. Let's start.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it is so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by. Now, here's JP.
All right, good morning and welcome to a Tuesday edition of the JP Peterson Show here as my buddy IndyCar Tim Ham from DSP Media joins me. We're going to talk about crazy NFL coaches and what the hell's going on with these whack jobs to make all this money, make these crazy decisions. We'll get into a little bit of Super Bowl preview. You know, everybody else is talking about Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, and now it's a total political conspiracy. So we
isn't everything's a political conspiracy?
Of course it is. Yes, Tim. We know this. Everything's a giant psyop. Duh.
Oh God, why can't we just be normal?
Yeah, exactly. The Bucs offensive coordinator position is still wide open. I'm getting a little bit concerned about this. So we'll get into that and some other fun stuff coming up on the show today. We invite you guys to jump aboard and bring any topics that you would like. We're already getting to list radio or streaming now, because when we get to the off season of NFL, everybody just starts coming up with lists to talk about and debate. So we can debate the five. What do we have? The 5 worst halftime shows.
Top 10 worst halftime shows in Super Bowl history.
Oh, I want to. That sounds like fun. We can get into that.
Yeah.
No question. So whatever you guys want to bring to the table, do it as well. You can always comment on Facebook and on our YouTube page, and a FanStream JP on Twitter as well. All right, let's I guess at the top of the list here, Timmy, I wanted to get into some of these crazy coaching decisions that we've seen throughout the playoffs. And it begs the question, I mean, the money that these coaches make is just off the charts, right? I mean, 10, 11, 12 million dollars. And you're supposed to bring a level of expertise to the game, and that's why you get paid so much money. Being a leader of men in the NFL, it's a tough job. I say this all the time. There's probably 20 guys on the planet that can be any good at it. It's kind of like being a quarterback in the NFL. It's a tough job. It's a tough job. Not many people. I certainly couldn't do it. You certainly couldn't do it. So in criticizing these guys doesn't mean they're horrible human beings. It just means that they're not maybe to the championship level quality.
It's a hard job.
Yeah. This just in. There's a lot going on. And for guys like Todd Bowles, and play callers like Andy Reid, I don't even know how they do it. How you manage a game and also have to stay 3 or 4 moves ahead in the chess game. Like I'm not cut out to do that kind of multitasking. Anymore. It's funny. When I was younger, I could do a lot of it. Now I've just realized I can't even speak and text at the same time. Like I can't even do that. So, and research will show that most people can't do any multitasking very well. You think you are, but you're not.
Not with any accuracy. Yeah.
With any accuracy, which would probably explain some of the crazy decisions that Todd Bowles makes at times, and not challenging plays that are obviously challengeable and should be challenged, not using your timeouts the way you should be using it, because you're probably thinking of the chess match ahead in the defensive play calling. So I think, it's a lot to ask, but still you are charged with doing it and you have to do it. Now, we have debated many times, how you don't call a timeout when you have one. And by the way, the Bucs still have a timeout they have not used in their final game.
And they won't.
Yeah. Probably, at this point, the odds are probably against them using it. But who knows? Todd may have a strategy that we have not thought about. And it's absolutely coaching malfeasance. You have to make them kick the ball. You have to make them do it. So much so that Dan Campbell didn't even want to kick a field goal in his game because, it wasn't, the percentages were not in his favor. The same one that the Lions that Dan Campbell would have had to kick. Think about that for a second. He eschewed a 47-yard field goal that would have tied the game with 7 minutes left in the fourth quarter, because partly he didn't think his kicker could make it. But yet Todd Bowles didn't use a timeout to make his kicker make a 47-yard field goal. So think about that. Think about the quandary. Would Dan Campbell, if you called timeout, would Dan Campbell have gone for it? On 4th and 9?
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. This guy's crazy enough. You might, it's 4th down. We don't kick on 4th down. Let's go for it.
Yeah.
Now, I don't suggest that he would have gone for it, but maybe he would have punted. And then, you're in a punting situation where you don't care about roughing the kicker, roughing the punter, or putting anybody back or putting anybody back for a fake, and you can rush more than they can block. Lord, and not only to mention the chaos that would have ensued. The Lions were already celebrating. Imagine if they had to line up a special teams play suddenly with the game on the line. I don't know about you, but I'm going to force him to make that play. That's just crazy.
Yeah.
To not make the Lions do that. And please don't hit me with some gentleman's agreement. That's just the dumbest.
That's BS. That is such BS.
And especially when Dan Campbell admitted that they screwed up the clock.
Yeah.
They screwed up the clock by snapping it too soon. And that's part of football. And if you did have a gentleman's agreement and they screwed it up, sorry, I lied. I'm going timeout.
I take it back.
No. I take it back. You're gonna have to snap that ball one more time, and you're gonna have to kick it. You have to do something. So yeah, so to me, some of these coaching mistakes are egregious, and I'm wondering what the hell's going on. And let's look at Dan Campbell in this playoff game. The first 4th down, I can almost that one doesn't bother me as much, and they got to execute the play. The second one, I guess, or maybe the third one, where he doesn't hit a tying field goal in that situation, or even attempt it.
So it was 4th and 3 from the 30.
Yeah, it would have been a 47-yard field goal.
So from the San Francisco 30. So I just did a piece on this at cowboyssi.com yesterday. So the analytics, and again, maybe we have too many analytics. I think that's a thing, Yeah. The analytics tell Dan Campbell his kicker has a 71% chance of making that kick.
Okay.
His analytics also tell him that at 4th and 3, the play call that they dialed up has an 80% chance of being successful.
Okay.
So he went with the 80% chance of being successful rather than a 71. And in his defense, his kicker sucks, especially in outdoor stadiums on natural grass. He's horrible. He hasn't been good.
Horrible. What do you know the numbers?
62%.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
That's bad. And that's so, and you and I talked about this a little bit off the air before we came on. We're criticizing coaches for changing their game plans and changing what they do when they get into the playoffs and abandoning what got them there.
Right.
And now here you have Dan Campbell, on the other side of it, where he's staying the course. He's doing everything the same as he did in the regular season that got him there, and it backfired. And now he's being criticized. And I understand the criticism 100%. I get it. But, man, I am on his side. He has no regrets for that call, and, man, I don't blame him for doing it, and he would do it again, and I would want him to do it again. Like Jared Goff said, you know what? It was a great call. We just didn't execute it.
Okay, and I see that part of the argument, and which is why I agree with the other 4th down calls.
Sure.
This one in particular, though, and this is where analytics gets you in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think there's too many analytics. I think we rely on analytics too much because analytics don't take into consideration the game flow.
Right.
They don't take into consideration things like, is the wind suddenly blowing a lot harder than it was earlier? Is my kicker good under pressure? Because you're just taking all the numbers and compiling them together with irrespective of personalities, wind, and everything else. So, and here's the other thing. If you get the first down, okay, there's no assurances that you're going to score a touchdown either. There's no assurances that you're going to score any points.
Right.
So even though there might be an 80% chance of converting that play, you still got a ways to go. So to me, in that situation, and it's all situational, right? You have just given up a 17-point lead, and now you are trailing, and the place is going bananas. And you finally have taken a little bit of momentum back because you got a drive going. And to me, in that sense, for 67%, 62%, and I know that's not automatic. Neither is going for it on 4th down. That's not automatic either. Right. To me, in that situation, you have to try to tie the game and then go from there. Because what the downside of this is, okay, you don't make it on fourth down, crowd goes nuts. The momentum is still now on San Francisco. Your defense has to go back out there again and try and stop them with all their energy, and they couldn't do it. The 49ers went right down the field. Right down the field. So
and scored.
Scored. Yeah. So in that moment, that moment was, and I get the idea that you normally go for it there, and that's your personality. But again, I think every situation is different.
This is to go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And you're the Lions. I mean, I get it. Like,
but I don't think. But people say taking the points. That's not a capitulation.
No.
That's not. It's like, okay, we're just going to try and get a field goal here. That's not a capitulation. You're getting points.
Yeah.
You're trying to score points. You have a good chance in terms of better than 50-50 to score points here, and not just any points, to tie the game and put the pressure back on San Francisco. Think about this now. It's 27-27. Okay, now you're energized. And now you kick the ball off. They got to start at the 25, not the 37. It's a big difference.
Yeah.
And the momentum now the pressure's back. Now it's like, okay, we're tied. All right, so now we got to get some points here, because if we give it back to them, then they have a chance to win the game. We're going to lose at home. And we have this great. So I think pressure is you have to understand where the pressure is being applied. Now the pressure switches back to San Francisco. In essence, with 7 minutes to go, you gambled the entire game right there. You're only, what were you? I mean, you're at that particular point, the game is still very much in the balance.
Yeah.
Still very much in the balance. You tie the game at that point. So I don't know. To me, I just think that he kind of it was just absolutely pedal to the metal. I don't care what the situation is. We're just going to go for it on fourth down every chance we get. Now he didn't go for it on fourth down in the first half. Why did he not? On that particular 4th and 3? Why not?
No, but let me throw this at you then. So 4th and 3.
I would say he made the right decision there, by the way.
Early in the game for sure. And I think early in the game they didn't need to. They dominated the first. Dominated the first half. Good Lord. But so it's 4th and 3 from the San Francisco 30. You're down 3, 7+ minutes to play. You attempt the field goal and you miss it.
Yeah.
What's everybody saying on Monday? Oh my God, you abandoned what got you there. Why would you try the field goal? Your kicker sucks, and the kicker sucks. Why didn't you go for it? You would have made it 8 times out of 10 in that situation in the regular season. I mean, I
would have argued coaching, the same thing I just argued. I would have. Yeah. So listen,
it's coaching,
and that's I'm not saying that's a terrible argument. I'm not saying that, but I think in that situation, you've got to tie the game. And here's this perhaps the more egregious decision. This is more towards game planning with Dan Campbell. How do you run the ball 7 times in the second half? You ran it for 21 times for 149 yards in the first half. You have a 3-score lead, and you run the ball 7 times and throw it 21? Like, what in God's name are you thinking?
I'll tell you what that was. That was the same thing as what happened with the Ravens. Panic mode. You've never been in this situation before. You're not used to being in this situation.
Yep.
It's panic mode. Your offensive coordinator, your play caller, just straight out panicked. And, I'm sure we'll get into the Ravens a little bit too, but just abandoned the run game. You're the best rushing team in the league. And the second half, the Lions ran it, 7 times? The Ravens ran it 6 times the whole damn game.
Crazy. Todd Monken. And Todd Monken is up, considered a very good offensive coordinator, but I don't understand that.
No, I don't either.
I just don't get it. I mean, okay, well, I want to keep calling plays and Lamar was clearly off his game.
Man.
He was not accurate. It makes no sense.
I still say that was Dak Prescott wearing number 8 for the Ravens.
Again, I mean, coaches gone wild. What the hell are you thinking? I mean, it's one thing to be, I'm Mr. Uber aggressive. But then it's the other thing to be stupid.
Yeah, 100%.
and go away from what got you there. The run game, Dan Campbell. Yeah, the Ravens, and this is why, we talk about players all the time. We talk about players, is the moment going to be too big for them? Is it for Dak? Yeah, apparently it is. Is it for Lamar? Yeah, apparently it is.
Apparently it is.
It's for coaches too. Coaches too.
Yeah, and look at Dan Campbell. He's his third year. He's still a young coach. He's and I ended my article about him yesterday at CowboysSI.com saying the learning experience.
Yeah,
he gained a lot of experience in that in this postseason, and his players did too. So you know what, and they'll be there again. He's being misquoted a lot with that quote that came out and said this might have been our only shot. That's out of context. That wasn't the entire quote. And
who said that?
Dan Campbell. There's quotes out there, where at the podium when he said, I told the guys this might be our only shot. Well, he did say that, but the quote continued. He said, because you never know what the game gives you. And, he wasn't saying we're going to suck next season, like everybody's taking the quote out of context. But they're going to be there again next year. This is a good football team. He's a good head coach.
Yeah.
And he learned something this year, and that's growth.
Yeah.
And that's fine. Was it stupid? Probably. But next time, we'll see how he adjusts.
Listen, if you told me right now, could we have Dan Campbell as the head coach in Tampa Bay? I'd say hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Yes.
Did he make some bad decisions? Yep, he sure did. In my opinion. But also, he had a great season, and he's completely changed the culture there. They're not there without Dan Campbell. All that needs to be said. I'm critiquing in that moment. In that moment, I don't think he made the right call. But as a head coach, I love the dude. I think he, culture setter, aggressive. I love the way he manages games. I just think in this particular moment, he should have made a different decision. That's why we sit here and second guess, and they're in the arena making that Dan Campbell's fine with it. He'll be fine. He doesn't give a rat's ass what I'm saying about him or anybody else. He said it himself. I have no regrets. No regrets about what that, and fine. And I'm not saying he's dumb. I'm not saying he's stupid. I just disagree with that decision at that particular moment. But in general, hell of a coach. And I love what he's done in Detroit. Fantastic job.
Yeah, and it's incredible. What was it? His first season, 13-1.
Yeah.
And then you win, I think, 9 games last season, and now you're 7 minutes away from the NFC Championship to go to the Super Bowl with the Lions.
Yes. Yeah. So he's done a hell of a job. Yeah. No question about it. So in general, we can nitpick. Now, and same with John Harbaugh, and same with Todd Monken. I mean, John Harbaugh is one of the best coaches in the NFL. If he were unemployed tomorrow, 25 teams would be lining up to get him.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of things, as an offensive coordinator, would I hire Todd Monken right now? Hell yeah. But he panicked. He
did.
Yeah.
It was ugly.
And sometimes, like halftime adjustments. Okay, so I'm pretty sure that the 49ers said, hey, they just gashed us for, 150 yards in the first half. We are not going to let them run the football in the second half. And I'm sure they were walking down a safety, and I have to go back and look at the all 22. And I'm sure that they looked at that and said, well, they're giving us the pass. We probably need to throw the ball right now. This is what they're giving us. But sometimes, I always refer back to the game in the Meadowlands where the wind was blowing about 65 miles an hour, and the Giants were giving the Bucs the pass. They were loading the box with 8 and 9 men, daring them to pass.
Right.
And John Gruden called 60 pass plays, I think, with Bruce Gradkowski, or 50 something crazy. Because on your whiteboard, they got 9 in the box, but the actual executing a pass down the field in that type of condition ain't going to work. So you're going away from what is your strength because the whiteboard demands it. The X's and O's say you shouldn't be running the football here. And I get that. But there comes a time when you say, we're a good running football team. And even though they got 9 in the box, we may not run for 150, but if we can squeak out 100 yards this half, we're going to win this game because we're going to control the game. You get away from that, and guys start dropping footballs.
Oh my God,
Josh Reynolds. Then Dude. you got issues. So again, it's a tough job. And under that type of pressure, sometimes it busts a pipe. And
Yeah, and you know what? Let's in all of this, as we're criticizing the Lions for losing the game, let's not take anything away from San Francisco.
Absolutely. And
For
Brock
going
Purdy.
and Brock, and I've never been a Brock Purdy guy. I really, not that I'm a hater, because I'm not. I've just been indifferent, right? Like, yeah, he's doing really well under Kyle Shanahan. That's what Kyle Shanahan does. He makes quarterbacks look really good, unless you're Trey Lance.
I was gonna say,
but dude, after watching him in the postseason, and the things that he's had to overcome, the leads, the deficits that he's had to overcome, and the way he played under pressure, healthy finally,
yeah.
dude, he's great, and I will not tolerate Brock Purdy hating anymore, because you're an idiot if you don't think he's a good quarterback.
If you go and look at some of the metrics of tight window throws that he's in his career, it's off the charts.
Mm-hmm.
And I love one of the things I look at the most when looking at quarterbacks coming out is how many starts did they have? How many reps have they had? How many times have they, now it doesn't mean everything, obviously, if they're playing for a crappy team and, against crappy competition. But that wasn't the case at Iowa State. Brock Purdy resurrected that program along with their coach, Matt Campbell. That means something to me. When you look at the numbers and the players that he was working with, I'm like, whoa, let's take a look at this. And why did Brock Purdy wait till seventh round? Because he's small. And he's not, people didn't think he was particularly athletic. He looked pretty damn athletic to me.
Yeah.
Let's, we can all call it what it is. He doesn't look like Jalen Hurts. He doesn't look like Justin Fields. He doesn't look like Josh Allen. He doesn't look like any of those guys.
No.
And people say he doesn't have a cannon for an arm. He's got a pretty damn good arm. That dude can flat out throw it. He can flat out throw it. And as an aside, and I want to talk about this in a little bit. Michael Penix, I was reading an article on him. Very Brock Purdy-esque, in my opinion. But this is what this guy does. He reads the field. He throws with anticipation. He throws with accuracy. And his over-the-top delivery helps him, as a 6'2" quarterback.
Yeah.
That helps him tremendously. And damn, I tell you what, and I'm not saying he's going to be a Hall of Famer, but when you go look at tape of Joe Montana, they look exactly the same. They are the same size. Their delivery is almost exactly the same. They're wearing the same damn uniform. If they were wearing the same number, everybody be freaking out. The way he runs out of the pocket, the way he throws on the run, it's uncanny to me how similar they look. And if you want to just say early on in his career in terms of coolness under pressure, wow. How good has this kid been in the last couple of weeks?
Well, and a lot of people said the same thing about Joe Montana when he came out of Notre Dame.
Oh, God,
yes. Slid to the third round. That's why he slid to the third round. He's average size, average arm, not very athletic.
Yeah.
Just describe Brock Purdy.
Yeah.
And look what Joe Montana did.
Yeah. It takes a lot more, to be a quarterback in this league. It takes a lot more. So I want to give, Brock Purdy his flowers. But again, coaches, some of the coaching decisions that I've seen are just, and maybe it's because to differentiate yourself in this league. I mean, Brandon Staley took a playoff team and absolutely wrecked it because of his reckless fourth down ridiculousness. I mean,
so terrible.
Yeah, so bad. And I
might have ruined Justin Herbert's career.
Yeah, we'll see.
You just hope Harbaugh can resurrect him, but because I was a Herbert guy, but good God.
Interesting comment here from our friend Buck Spaceman. Good morning to you. I rewatched the majority of the season. Todd Bowles, by the end of the Buck season, had a total of 42 timeouts that he never called. I don't know where that stands in terms of the other play of their teams. God, that's a stat I don't even know people keep, but I gotta believe
somebody does
by far the most in the league. By far the most in the league.
I would like to know how many games that includes where he took all three into halftime from the first half.
Buck Spaceman, this because you went back and looked at it. I think he said six in a row, and most of that was during the losing streak.
Yeah,
I mean, and when you're talking about in a league where you defer to the second half and you can steal that possession, that's like creating a turnover.
Yep.
You have to be ahead of the game when you're doing that. It's high school coaches that do this. College coaches all over the place are doing it. you got to get that extra possession, especially if you defer. And you defer, but your defense gets off the field in that first possession, you defer, and you can get that's got getting 2 turnovers in a game. And that's how important it is. And not to mention challenges. How many challenges were a couple of times Mike Evans at the goal line. Payne Durham at the goal line. There's so many times we talked about it during the season where, Bowles is the antithesis of Dan Campbell. And I much prefer the Dan Campbell style of coaching and being aggressive in this, because listen, if you're not being aggressive, other teams are, and it's not always going to work out, but it seems like fortune favors the bold. No question about that. All right. I wanted to get to the Bucks OC position. Thad Lewis is still, as far as I know, going to interview with the Bills and the Raiders for their OC position. Yesterday, the Bucks interviewed Alex Van Pelt, and he left the building without getting a job. They also interviewed Antoine Randall L., the former Steelers, former Indiana quarterback, if I'm not mistaken, right? Played quarterback as well. So considered an up-and-coming bright mind. I've said on this program many, many times, I'm all for continuity, and Thad Lewis seems to be a guy. Now, listen, a lot of times you'll hear when there's openings, players pipe up for their guys that are already there. And it's great because they know them and they want to be loyal, but are they the best person for the job? In this particular case, I think there's a lot going for Thad Lewis. It seems like a lot of the praise is very genuine. Played at Duke, graduated in 3.5 years, played in the NFL for 8 years, played in a lot of different systems. He's a savant when it comes to X's and O's. He's tutored under BA and now Dave Canales, a couple of pretty good teachers. Dave Canales through the McVay system. So these are a lot of good things that are stacking up for him. And I would be very pleased if we found out today that Thad Lewis got that job. I think that's because that to me says to me, okay, Baker Mayfield, certainly if you're not, you got to be consulting him obviously in this, even though he's a free agent. To me, that's the first outward sign of, yes, we're putting the band back together. And if the Bucks don't do that, to me, it's, starting back at square one. And and at that point, are you changing coaches? Are you blowing the thing up? And at this point, that's Super Bowl time when staffs are already filled out for the most part. This is not the time to be blowing it up. They did that with John Gruden and hired Raheem Morris. Doesn't work out very well. So, yeah, to me, this is imperative that they get Thad Lewis to become the next OC, continue with the same offense, the same continuity. And who's to say Thad Lewis, having played the game, doesn't have a better perspective than Canales,
right?
So, and could be a better play caller than Canales. There were a lot of times when after about the 14th run, zone run up the middle, they gained, -1 yards. I was like, what the F is this guy doing? It's ridiculous. We have no advantage running that play. There is no tactical advantage running that play. We are not a power running team. It never effing works. So, I think the legend of Dave Canales has been a little bit overblown because of what a great dude he is and positive guy, and his press conferences are fantastic. That's all well and good. You still were in the bottom third in terms of scoring points in the league. And that's not all on Dave Canales, but it is what it is. So, we didn't lose Bill Walsh. So I think go ahead.
Thad Lewis is your only chance at continuity.
Right.
If you want continuity and you need continuity, like you said, especially if you're going to retain Baker, you can't start all over with a new system and a new OC with Baker on another 1-year deal.
But nobody wants to do that. No.
But you're starting, like you said, you're starting again from square one. It's almost like a mini rebuild, right? Because now your expectations are a little bit lower than if it's his second year in the system. And like you said, Thad Lewis might have a better perspective at the offense, and Baker could be better.
Yeah. And good point by Jeremy Lowe. The Bills promoted Joe Brady to OC.
And look what it did.
And look what happened. They I'm sure Thad Lewis is probably looking at some of those things and going, Dave, I didn't agree with this running up the middle all the time. So it could be better. It could be better. And I'm here to say, when you're in year 2 of an offense, instead of learning a new system, that whole entire season, you're learning the new system.
Mhm.
Okay. And there is a definite, as we saw with the Buccaneers, there is a learning curve for the first few weeks of the season when you have to execute that offense at full speed, not just in practice. There's a total learning curve. Whereas second year in a system, you're perfecting the system. You're getting better at the details. And that's what wins in this league. That's what wins. This is why Brady won so many damn championships over and over and over again. There's a lot more to it, but continuity is a big part of it. Look at Pat Mahomes in the Andy Reid system. I mean, the nuances that you see on a daily basis of Kelce running routes where, Mahomes is running around back there and knows that he's going to, if they see an open spot, even if his back is turned. There was one play in the championship game. The front side where he was running was closed off. And what did Mahomes do? He floated the ball to the backside, knowing damn well that Kelce is prepared to turn his body and throw him open. That's stuff that doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen overnight. So it's personnel and it's also scheme. It's also scheme that helps you. So I think it's imperative, and I wish the Bucs would pull the trigger on this. I don't know what they're waiting for. They have a lot more information than I do, of course. So, and maybe Thad Lewis wants to go do those interviews to help his career, whatever. Just get used to doing interviews. I totally get that. But, for my sake, as a Buccaneer, I don't want to say fan, but obviously when they do well, it's good for business.
It's great for business.
If you're a Buccaneer fan, I think that's something you're rooting for. I don't think there's any question about that. All right. Couple other things we wanted to get to.
How much? Sorry, real quick. How much? Maybe this is a question for TJ. How much input do you think Bowles has in any of this OC decision? Any? 50%?
I would say a lot. Yeah.
You think? Okay.
Yeah.
Because it may be his successor.
Yeah. Yep.
So
all right, let's take a break. TJ Reeves is going to join us right now. 3-minute break. We're brought to you by the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVESLawgroup.com. Go to the website and get a free case evaluation. Whether your car has been totaled and you didn't get a great settlement, whether you've just been in an accident, issues at work, you got issues with insurance claim on your home, all those things right in their wheelhouse at the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVESLawgroup.com. Back in 3 with TJ Reeves. Stay with us. JP here for my friends at your local Synovus Bank, and I do mean friends, and I do mean local. One of the local managers in Tampa is John Acosta, big fan of the show, and I've known him for over 40 years. He's been in local banking since 1983. You talk about developing relationships. You don't stick around for that long unless you're doing things the right way and have a great reputation. And that's the focus company-wide at Synovus. Big enough to handle any complex international transaction, but small enough to answer the phone when you have an urgent question about your business or personal account. And for personal accounts, they have a very easy app that works great. You can do everything online. And for large or small businesses, you will get that personal touch and services to help build your business, taking your dreams and aspirations from the whiteboard to reality. We can make that happen. Let us show you how. For a get-acquainted meeting to open a business or personal account, just call John or go to Synovus.com to find out where your local branch is. All right, this is for all you guys who don't want to go to the gym and do 5,000 crunches. At Bay Area Modern Medical Center, you can get on the new True Body machine where you can reduce fat and tone up your muscle. It's like doing 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Define your body as you see fit. True Body offers personalized muscle stimulation that delivers the equivalent of those 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Just get in touch with them at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Chris Lugo and the team over there will set you up on True Body and get amazing results. Non-invasive with comfortable and little to no pain and zero downtime. You can isolate and target those areas that you want to improve and treat multiple areas simultaneously. It's an amazing machine, so check it out at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. JP here for the Geddes Gordon Real Estate Group and our good friend Jane Geddes. Folks, simply put, there is nobody like Jane. Jane is a former LPGA two-time major championship winner. She was also vice president of talent relations at WWE. She also has a law degree from Stetson. So if Jane can drain a 10-footer to win the U.S. Open and stare down Hulk Hogan in the boardroom, you want Jane on your real estate team to not only negotiate the best deal, but find you the perfect home or investment property. And when you work with the Geddes Gordon Group, you become part of the real estate family and get concierge services that include expertly staging, marketing, and preparing your home for sale. Advice on golf properties. Hey, you might even get some golf tips. Many of their clients become friends long after the sale or purchase is completed. It's all part of the deal. So if you're looking for that perfect home or investment property or trying to get top dollar for your home, go with Jane Geddes and the Geddes Gordon Group, because there's nobody like Jane. Call 813-485-6808 or go to geddesgordon.kw.com. That's GEDDES Gordon.kw.com or call 813-485-6808.
Let's go.
Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the show. Roll on. This season. By the way, I can't multitask here as I'm going to go this link out to TJ. I'm not sure if I sent him the right link, so I'm going to do this right here.
Oh, okay, I got you.
I'm going to fill in with some wonderful information. Oh, there.
Yeah. I mean, while we're on the
midget.
While we're on the subject of offensive coordinators, what do you think about Brian Greasy? Why isn't he getting any talk?
That's an interesting situation. Obviously, he was a quarterback here. Did a great job. Got to know him while he was here. Super intelligent guy, great broadcaster. Just jumped into coaching again, and by all intents, doing a great job. I think maybe
it's too soon.
Maybe, it's just Canales said 1 year of OC, and now he's a head coach. So
and Slowick in Houston, right? I mean, they're talking about him for the same.
And maybe it's just that he's not the primary play caller or game planner. Maybe that's the reason, and it needs more seasoning. I don't know. Let's ask TJ Reeves. He knows everything. Bucs sideline guy joining us here. What's up, TJ? How are you, my friend?
I don't know if I need everything. Let me get in the shot there. We're making it work live on the show today. Greasy would be an interesting name. Alex Van Pelt would be an interesting name. And I was just checking a second ago. Do we have another interview? Timmy, have you interviewed for the Bucs OC job as of yet?
It's tomorrow.
There are a lot of fans that think they should be the offensive coordinator. So I'm sure that Jason Light and company are sifting through all of those resumes as we speak for who's got qualifications, because they used to call plays in Pee Wee flag.
Yes.
And so now they think they are.
Dude, I have an entire playbook back here in the files. Are you kidding me?
Installed a new offense. So,
some of the greatest plays you've ever seen in your life.
So we have much to go over. As I sent you the message, obviously, if you are in this area, you are a sports fan and you have been around, the name Martin Fennelly, who passed away on Friday and was a tremendous writer. I mean, in your part of the world, Tim, this is the Randy Galloway type.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
And you've got columnists all over the country that are kind of the written voice of authority about different sports, different teams. Now, in this market, it's interesting, JP, because we had Tom McEwen and we had Hubert Meisel. I did radio, as you remember, for a couple of years with Hubert Meisel.
Yes.
Piece of work. McEwen, also a piece of work.
Yes.
Tom McEwen is largely credited with helping Hugh Culverhouse and the ownership group land the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
And the Levy brothers.
And the Levy brothers as well. So, and McEwen is so beloved, they renamed the street right beside Raymond James Stadium, Tom McEwen Boulevard. The press box where the Lightning play is, as you know, JP, you're there every home game, is Tom McEwen press box. But I would say Martin Fennelly definitely belonged in that conversation with those guys in the 90s, in the 2000s, and even into the 2010s. He was like the must read in the morning and or online on whatever his take was on the Tampa Bay teams or the national sports scene, etc. So the outpouring has been amazing. And JP, I know you've touched on some of this, but the outpouring on social media has been amazing, from his coworkers and his colleagues, about how caring he was about their careers, their writing, trying to help them, advice he gave them. So I just wanted to make mention of that because I've known Martin going all the way back to the early 90s when I started in sports radio in this market. And he was constantly making fun of me and making fun of me in the newspaper. And so we had a good yin and yang going back and forth. So yes, just some great stuff. And I saw this, and I hope it shows up a little bit on the glare. Hopefully not. So on Facebook, one of his colleagues, Roger Mooney, who you know from the Tampa Tribune and the Tampa Bay Times, that wrote the Tampa Bay Rays for many years, was telling the story that he and Martin and Joey Johnston, another longtime writer in this area, were covering the Gator Ohio State national title game 2007. JP, were you in the desert? You were in the desert for Channel 8.
I was there that's where I was filmed for the Gator documentary. That's when picking the Ohio State Buckeyes to slaughter the Florida Gators.
Infamously.
That was my role.
All right, so Florida ends up routing them with Tim Tebow playing in the game. Yeah. And so Roger Mooney tells the story that the next morning, after they had been up all night filing their stuff, Martin filed his column, that Martin wanted to go see the Grand Canyon. Well, if you know anything about Arizona, because I've looked into this myself, the Grand Canyon is not easy to get to from almost anywhere, including from Phoenix. It's literally like a 3 or 4 hour ride. Yeah. So Roger's story was that he convinced Martin and Joey, let's go the morning of. Martin was impatient, wanting to go even earlier than them. They get out, they want to eat something. And Martin is like furious that they want to stop at the McDonald's to get food. And so his negotiation was, if you eat it in the car, I won't start screaming for help, etc. All right, so here are the pictures if they will show up. This is Martin, if I get it with the glare, Martin at the Grand Canyon, Martin with Joey Johnston at the Grand Canyon, and Roger Mooney and and Martin at the Grand Canyon. And I thought I would share that with your audience, that those are the kind of things that Martin enjoyed doing. And I thought it was neat in the John Romano remembrance column because I know Martin's kids a little bit. They don't really know me, but I know them a little bit. He had them around all the time. JP, you know this. He had them around covering teams. He would have his kids with him at times. They meant a lot to him. But when his daughter said in the article that she opened up a closet one time and all of his awards were in the closet and fell out like on the floor. He never had them put anywhere. Any of his,
like I have them displayed behind me.
Yes, certificates, trophies, whatever. He didn't care about that. He cared about being dad. And so it's just neat to see the outpouring and the stories like the one I just showed you, and to read his daughter and all of his colleagues talking about how much he helped them, encouraged them, helped them try to find other work when the Tribune ceased to exist. So shout out to Martin Fennelly around this area. That's a big deal from the last 30 years.
Well, awesome. We talked a little bit about this yesterday, TJ. I work with Martin as we were the converged Tampa Tribune and News Channel 8. And, he was a columnist. So we often would try to get him on TV to give his opinion. Martin shied away from that. He didn't want to be on TV. He did not want to do it. He did not want to be on TV. He was a writer. He was not one of those people that wanted to be out front. He was not a Skip Bayless. But he was a tremendously, and this is why I always tried to encourage him, because, but I don't think he was comfortable in front of the camera. So then I said, I get it. That's fine. I told him this. I said, you are such a brilliant writer. If I would just, I want to try to tap into that on camera and get you, but it's different. As you know, being an essayist on camera is a very, very hard thing to do. And I think he probably recognized the fact that my work is much better on a page for you dumb idiots to be able to really digest and maybe go back and read over it than it is through television. And I totally applaud him for that. But I always marveled at I love writing. And I think he was the best columnist I think we've ever had, just in terms of pure writing. And I don't need to disparage anyone else at all.
Right.
So he was a brilliant writer, and he brought certain perspectives and humor, and said things and poked the bear with his humor, which is a very delicate thing to do, but he spoke truth to power, which is something that we don't get a lot anymore in sports journalism. So I really appreciated him for that. And the shame of it is, for the last 5, 6, 7 years, there was no place for Martin Fennelly.
That's right.
To write. And that's a shame for every sports fan. It's an indictment on our media system here and the gatekeepers who are part of that. And it's a shame that we've come to the point where profit is so much king that we can't have people like Martin Fennelly employed when maybe a lot of less experienced, less talented people are.
That's a great point. It's a great point you made.
I don't know if they ever offered him a position, but I think he would have worked for next to nothing just to be able to do it. I think that's, if there's something a part of his legacy that I think should live on, it's that we need to recognize that these people like that, their talent, their voice is important. And we need to find a way for there to be outlets for that to happen. And
it's a great point that you made, because he got phased out.
Yes.
The whole Tribune collapsing, and some of them survived initially with the Tampa Bay Times, but he got phased out, and that's a shame. But the talent, the written word, again, another colleague of ours who Nick Puglisi, Puggo, the former editor with the Tampa Tribune, put up a phenomenal column of his that I sort of remembered, but not really. When the Buccaneers were for sale, when Hugh Culverhouse had died and the Bucs were for sale, the column that he put on social media, the short version, where they're hanging out in the lobby of the hotel with the Culver houses and the maintenance people and all the other media, is just
I have not read that. I'm going to go read that.
I need to send it to you, but I will send it. It is just gold about him interviewing the maintenance guys. He's interviewing a food delivery guy because nobody could find out what was going on. And again, he made it seem so easy, and his colleagues will be the first ones to tell you, anybody that writes, coming up with that stuff is not easy. And it was almost like a faucet. He could turn it on and it was just on as long as he wanted it to be on.
Yeah.
So we should remember that. And he was around in this market for over 30 years, writing about the local teams, the local level, the local stories, the different things that were going on. And, as John Romano pointed out, when the Super Bowl was in Detroit, and we're going to get to Detroit here in just a second, he went up there and wrote a column, not about the game, but what it was like to be at a soup kitchen in Detroit, and did they care about the Super Bowl? And it was amazing. I remember reading that. It was amazing. Do you care about what's going on a couple miles down the street here at Ford Field?
With all the glitz and glamour.
Just happening. the different angles that he would have, the whole PED thing with Sammy Sosa and Mark McGuire, where he went himself and got drug tested and wrote all about what the drug test is like and what they do and the whole thing. He was just...
I would be testing positive for that, no question. Yeah. Hey, before you go, and I know you got to get going.
I got like 4 or 5 minutes, and I monopolized a lot about Martin Fennelly. But again, for those fans that are maybe only recent in the Tampa Bay market, this is a big deal, what this guy was and what this guy meant. And again, dozens and dozens and dozens of his colleagues have come forward to talk about how much he meant to them, just to give you an idea. I hope I have like 2 people, like you and Tim and somebody else, say something about me down the road, whatever it is. I just want like 2 or 3 people.
I don't think that's going to happen. You will. Not me. No, I've pissed off too many people. I'm
going to start calling you for quotes on all my written pieces when I'm talking about Tampa Bay.
Yeah, exactly.
Give me a few seconds on break the tie between Tim and I on Dan Campbell here.
Okay, for all the criticism of Todd Bowles and whether or not he takes a timeout, Tim, what in the name of Vince Lombardi are you doing with 3 timeouts left and under a minute and a half to go in the game where you don't have the 2-minute warning, where you need the ball twice? What are you doing running the ball and taking a timeout? I mean, again, we want to tar and feather coaches for game management, timeouts. I forget about just the 4th down call to go for it and not kick the field goal. But that is complete mismanagement in the biggest moment. Are you telling me you've been defending? You haven't been defending that, right? That's like
not that. The 4th down call, the go for it instead of the field goal, I defended.
But I throw it all in a bucket and say he wasn't thinking clearly and he panicked.
I think that is part of it. And again, here's the other point. We talked about this at the end of the Buck game, whether Badgley would have been trusted to kick the long field goal. If you don't trust him to kick long field goals in playoff games, why is he on your roster? Yeah. If he's not trusted with the game on the line to kick a 47, 48, 49-yard field goal.
That's not even a long field goal anymore.
Why have you not got somebody else there? And I know, because they were saying this earlier, that the onside kick is right now, this past season, a 4% proposition. 96% that you're not going to make it. Yeah. It's become almost
impossible.
Almost impossible to recover that thing. 2 times, I believe, in 51 attempts now. Yeah. That it has not, or 2 in 52, I think, with the game the other night. So, I mean, to think that you were going to get the ball back on the onside kick with such a minuscule chance of doing that versus kicking the field goal, and now you would have a chance on your last possession to maybe go for 2 in the win, which you did in Dallas in the regular season, all of that out the window. So again, they had a tremendous season in Detroit, but if we're going to criticize coaches, 17-point meltdown in the second half and some of those calls, including the clock mismanagement and the timeout call at the end.
Well, how about the Ravens? How about Todd Monken and, by proxy, John Harbaugh running the ball 6 times with the best running game in the NFL?
Late in the game, throw.
Yeah.
In a one-score game.
Yeah.
Hard to believe that they fell in love with it. So in any event, on the Buccaneer offensive coordinator, I joke with you all the time. I don't have coffee and donuts with Jason Light and the Glazers.
I know you don't.
So I don't officially know what it is that they're doing. Now, I do have donuts with the Twins, which you're invited to. We have donuts usually on Saturday mornings.
Yes.
Maybe this Saturday. But in any event, if they have not promoted Thad Lewis off of this staff, then obviously there is concern about whether he would be the guy or not, because clearly that would seem like the logical guy.
Yeah.
Keep the band together, keep Baker happy. He's been in the quarterback room as the quarterback's coach.
System.
Okay. So now you're going to a familiar guy with Antoine Randall. That's an interesting name. Former receiver with the Steelers, but he's also been on the Bucs staff before. Is he maybe the guy? Alex Van Pelt is an interesting name because he was here with Raheem Morris as the quarterback coach 2010, 2011. He's been with Green Bay with Aaron Rodgers. He's been in Cleveland, like you pointed out, with Baker Mayfield.
Yep.
I am only concerned with who's the ultimate hire and how are we getting there. And now that we're to Tuesday at almost 11 a.m. Eastern time,
it's not good.
Who's the hire? And maybe it's coming. Maybe it's coming this afternoon or tonight. We've done all the interviews, and maybe we've decided to promote Thaddeus Lewis, and he's the guy, Thad Lewis. I don't know, but that would seem to be the logical one.
That's my vote right now.
I don't know this for sure, but why would you not go to Baker Mayfield and say, what do you think? We want to bring you back. And
what would Baker say? And of course they have. I mean, what would Baker say? Unless
we don't know that answer, but I would have to think that with him being in the room, as the quarterback coach, it gives him a great opportunity to keep the same continuity,
You think Baker wants to learn a new system?
Verbiage, all of that.
No.
Like a different language.
Like I say, year 2, you're perfecting it. Year 1, you're learning it. It's a huge difference.
So stay tuned. I bring you optimism always on Tuesday. Stay tuned that there may be a hire later today, because the other thing you got to be concerned about is Washington and Seattle are still doing hiring. Maybe they're hiring, maybe they're not. And the coordinators and the position coaches are all disappearing with all these other hires and what the other teams are doing with their position coaches and their coordinators. So let's see what the Bucs do. In Jason Light, we trust.
We trust, absolutely.
And
by the way,
see what happens, my friend.
Are apple fritters in the donut
Apple
family?
fritters are allowed. I partake.
They are in the donut. Okay.
Timmy, are you big on apple fritter? Yes or no?
Love the apple fritter.
No.
I'm big on apple fritter.
Straight, give me the donuts.
What about toasted bagels? One twin likes toasted bagels. Yay or no?
I am a bagel fool, man.
I just had an everything bagel with the Tillamook veggie cream cheese.
I'm all about that.
Oh, yeah. All right, partner, I know you got to go. Thank you. The great TJ.
Good to be with you guys. We'll hang in there. Put the bat signal up whenever you need me. Good to be with you, brother.
Thank you, brother. Bobby the Chief Taylor coming up at 11 o'clock. So we'll talk a little hockey with him. So as the cavalcade of Tampa Bay superstars continues. Yeah, right. Martin was a unique dude. He was a unique dude. I
love guys like that, man. The old school writers.
I'm not saying, I wasn't as close to him as the guys that were on the Tribune, and I think that for a reason.
Right.
Right. I don't think he liked the quote TV guys. As you know, you've been in this business a long time. There's always been kind of a rivalry between the print guys and the TV guys. Yep. There's always been that, they look down their nose at us and we look down their nose. There's always been that divide. So, in 2000s, when I became sports director, the early 2000s at Media General, we owned the Tribune. News Channel 8 owned the Tampa Tribune. Media General, big company. And one of the few, by the way, that we were grandfathered in to be able to have a newspaper and a television station in the same market. We used to have these things called antitrust laws that would, enforce competition. No more. No. We don't have those anymore. There's 4 corporations or anything in the world. Anyway, so we, and they're like, my bosses would come to me and says, "Oh, hey, we're going to converge the sports departments," and we're all like, The Hatfields and McCoys are getting together. Really? You think this is a good idea?
A blended family.
The blended. Oh my God! The blended Hatfields and McCoys.
Oh no.
Yeah. And I was like, oh wow. So I, as the sports director, I had to kind of, be a liaison and kind of massage all the different egos and try to get people, because those guys wanted no part of doing television for the most part. Right. We had Roy Cummings on yesterday. Ira Kaufman, Martin Fennelly,
right.
Andy Staples, who I worked with as well. And many of these guys were on the Tribune staff. And frankly, we ended up doing, I thought, a fantastic job. Better than anybody else in the company as far as I'm concerned. We merged the two and really, really gave a lot of benefit to the listener and the viewer and the reader. I think it worked out really, really well. Martin was just not into it. He was just not. And it was a major corporate initiative. Like they were like, but and so Nick Puglisi became my boss, who was the boss of the Tribune. But having that other paper, like you have two papers, right? You have the Dallas Morning News and the Fort Worth Star Telegram.
Right? Yep.
Yeah. Can you imagine one of those being, usurped by the other and taken over? And then,
well, we used to have two papers here in Dallas. We used to have the
right.
Dallas Morning News and the Dallas Times Herald. And the Dallas Times Herald went away late 80s, early 90s, I want to say. But yeah, so no, I've been there.
Yeah. So I think, but it was interesting because the Times, typically slants very liberal, and the Tribune, I think it was more moderate. Some would say slanted more conservative. But once that was taken away, now there's only one available, and it's not doing very well. And the reason why it had to shut down the Tampa Tribune just financially, because papers just in general are not, but theirs has seemed to be an even tougher ride. And that, and that's one of the reasons that Martin got let go, because they couldn't financially sustain it. I mean, it certainly wasn't because of his work. And, it's sad.
Yeah.
I
guys like that don't know how to freelance. They don't know that world, or they don't want to at that point. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that was hard for Martin. I don't think he wanted to maybe do the things that I've had to do to survive, and keep it going, because it's hard work and it's humbling. It's extremely humbling.
My kids still laugh at me.
I don't mean that in a bad way. He deserved an outlet. And I wanted to hire him to be part of a conglomerate website that I was trying to build 5 years ago, but we still have not been able to find investors for it. COVID obviously has hit pretty hard, but advertising being what it is, and nobody still to this day, people are having a hard time figuring out how to monetize a lot of these different podcasts and live streams and websites. I mean, we're
struggle is real.
Business. Struggle is real. And unfortunately, talented guys like Martin Fennelly, who would have enjoyed an illustrious long career, and he had that anyway, but should have been so much better in the years, was he 65 when he passed? Could have been a lot better.
Wow.
All right. We'll take a break. And when we come back, Bobby the Chief Taylor is going to join us, and we'll look ahead to the last, I wouldn't even say half of the season. We're past the half mark. But the playoff stretch for the Tampa Bay Lightning as the NHL All-Star break is here. And what has gone on in the first half, what it means for the Lightning. Bobby the Chief Taylor joins us next. We're brought to you by Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Boy, there's a lot of crud growing around, and that means your immune system is under assault, folks. You got to really make sure that you're taking the supplements and getting the sleep, eating the foods that are going to keep you most healthy. And that is all on a personal level. Your blood work will determine what is best for you. Trying to find a doctor that's going to do all that personal medicine for you is very hard. But at BAMMC.com, Bay Area Modern Medical Center, they do personalized medicine. They will take the time to make those choices for you and help you out. So do something different with your health. Do something personal. It's Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Back in 3.
JP here for the Jeeves Law Group, Jeeves. Call for a free case evaluation, 888-9-JEEVES. That's 888-9-JEEVES. We're local, we're trusted. The law firm brings over 80 years of combined legal experience focusing on clients in Tampa Bay, the state of Florida, and national class action cases. If you're injured, get that free case evaluation, no cost to you. The The Jeeves Law Group's focus is on auto, truck, and motorcycle accidents, as well as class action and consumer protection law. Scott Jeeves is a board-certified civil trial lawyer and a certified circuit court mediator practicing in the Tampa Bay area for over 30 years. You hear him on the show all the time. Great guy, big Gator fan, and great for the community. The Jeeves Law Group is a highly skilled team with years of experience that will apply their skills, expertise, and knowledge to assist individuals who have been in an accident with compensation for damages, lost wages, medical expenses, pain and suffering, and property damage. Get that free case evaluation, 888-9-JEEVES. That's 888-9-JEEVES.
JP here for my good friends at Italiano Insurance, and they did it again. Once again, Italiano Insurance stepping up with the best customer service. I was in a bind. My old insurance company, my auto insurance, jacked up my rates, so I called Charity at Italiano Insurance, and she stayed till 9:30 at night until she got my insurance done. And guess what? She searched all these companies for me. I didn't do the work. She did. Saved me $1,000 on my annual premium. $1,000, folks. That's real money. And that's what you get at Italiano Insurance. Great customer service. And here's another note for you, by the way, with hurricane season up. 40% of people in Florida are underinsured. That means if you have something happen during a hurricane and you need replacement costs, you're going to get 40% less than you deserve. Can't let that happen. Call the folks at Italiano Insurance and get them to help you out in both those regards. They will save you money and keep you insured properly. That's 813-877-7799. Great folks in the community, been doing it for over 60 years. Italiano Insurance, 813-877-7799.
Start the new year with a new diamond from the Gold and Diamond Source. It's still engagement season. Where better to get that special ring than the Gold and Diamond Source? Of course, I just got mine there. I'm engaged. You should do the same thing. Let's go. Gold and Diamond Source has the largest selection of engagement rings in the country. A literal jewelry superstore with 30 times the inventory of any normal jeweler. And if you have a loved one or a special person in your life who has a birthday this month, maybe you have an anniversary coming up, you can get 15% off the January birthstone, which is garnet, as in garnet and gold for all your Seminoles. Celebrate that mythical national championship. And it's the Gold and Diamond Source's 40th anniversary. For the past 40 years, they have taken pride in offering only natural diamonds formed over billions of years from the Earth's incredible forces. And gold prices are at an all-time high. Now's your chance to turn your jewelry box into a cash machine. It's the perfect time to trade in your broken or unworn pieces for something new and stunning. It's the Gold and Diamond Source, 3800 Almerton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com.
Let's go. Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by Italiano Insurance. Great time to get that insurance checkup. Have them shop your auto insurance, your home insurance, your business insurance. Save you some money. It's not just what you make, folks. It's what you keep. So save that money, and you can put it to other fun things like taking trips to the NHL All-Star Game or go to the Super Bowl in Las Vegas. Timmy, obviously, we're not going to the Super Bowl this year. We went last year to LA. Was it last year?
2 years ago. That was the Rams.
Yeah. Yeah. Was it 2 years ago now?
Yeah, because Chiefs won last year.
That's right. That's right. God, time flies when you get old. But I know I was thinking about, trying to put something together for Vegas and being on Radio Row and all that stuff. And I'm like, no.
Maybe next year.
What a shit show it's going to be out there. I mean, Vegas is, I don't know. It's just everything is so ridiculously expensive. And then they jack up the prices for Super Bowl. And then I just like crowds anymore for me.
Oh, I hate it.
Oof.
And Radio Row at the Super Bowl, that is a crowd like most people don't understand. It is just a shit show.
It has become such a cliche. I mean, such a cliche. The people, a couple of years ago, I thought we did a really good job of getting some interesting guests on, but you got to sift through a lot of such BS. And I've gotten to talk to some really incredible people over the years in going to Super Bowl. So, had Chris Rock and David Spade sit down with us one time. It was really interesting. That was really, really fun. Sugar Ray Leonard, one of my heroes. I got to talk to him and Hugh Jackman at the same time.
Yeah.
Where they did that. Remember that stupid movie they did with like an electronic boxer?
Yeah, the Real Steel.
Yeah. Oh my
Yeah.
God. And he's like, I remember him.
I
Like, I
never
think
saw it.
this was in Dallas, I believe, when we were in Dallas, when everything was frozen over. And
2010. Yeah.
yeah,
or
by the way,
09.
we're waiting for Bobby the Chief. I think he's out walking the dog. So when he
We're good. We'll
texts
get
me
him.
back, we'll get him. So yeah, I'm like, wow. Then they're, here sitting down with Sugar Ray Leonard and Hugh Jackman. I'm like, wow, this is really interesting plot. And I'm like, yeah, it's artificial intelligence and the boxer, and it's not real, and it's humans and the robot. And
So weird.
I'm like, yeah, wow, that sounds awesome. Sometimes it doesn't quite work out like
when I saw the previews for that when before it came out, I remember thinking like, what's he doing?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, exactly.
why is he doing this? Did he lose a bet? That's the only thing I could think of. He lost a freaking Hollywood bet, right? And
Yeah.
so weird.
Interviewed Chrissy Teigen
Mhm.
and John. What's her boyfriend's name?
John
Smooth-
Legend.
Yeah, John Legend with his smooth voice. So I interviewed Chrissy Teigen before she went completely wacko. Had
Oh
no
my
idea
gosh.
that all was going on. Yeah, so many. So it's been cool. It's been a fun ride, but I just wasn't up for it this year. Where's it next year?
That's a good question. I saw. Let's see.
It's not back in LA, is it? I think when something makes me want to say Houston next
New
year.
Orleans.
New Orleans? Oh God.
Yep. That's always.
I don't think I
that's
want to
show
do that
too.
either. New Orleans is
I mean, that's-
so bad.
It is. That's my hometown, and I don't even want to go.
Is that your hometown?
I was born just south of New Orleans. Yeah.
Yeah, I went back to my hometown, Hollywood, probably 3-4 months ago, and I couldn't believe it, man.
Mhm.
I was shocked at how dilapidated and it looks like a freaking third world country, man. It's
Yeah.
like that is not what I grew up in. I was like, wow, this is really, really bad.
Yeah. And New Orleans has not been the same since Katrina, and it's been almost 20 years now.
It's been 20 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, people who, if you weren't in New Orleans pre-Katrina, so that was what, 90?
It was 04, 05, 05
yeah.
actually, I think.
Yeah, so if you weren't in Katrina or if you weren't in New Orleans, you have no idea what that city was like. It was so awesome. I
Yep.
mean, between the restaurants and the people and the beauty, and it was just incredible. And then Katrina just changed the whole vibe of the place. It's kind of like South Florida and frankly, the Mariel boat lift. It completely changed everything when Castro emptied out the jails and the insane asylums, and it just 100,000 people coming into Miami that were, trust me, a lot of amazing Cuban people.
Sure.
They are hardworking, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful people. Like a lot of the immigrants coming in.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of them that aren't. And it just brought a totally different vibe to Miami and South Florida. It's never the same since. And you see the same thing happening all over the country now. Certainly with the immigration issues that we're having, which is just a crime. In so many ways, and it's going to get worse. The people that are here,
we're having to put up barbed wire here in Texas.
Yeah, when you guys when are you seceding from the union? By the way,
apparently very soon. Very soon.
Oklahoma's going with you. I think Florida might join you.
We don't want Oklahoma. They can be their own country, but Texas used to be its own country. So for 9 years, 36 to 1845, we were our own country.
Isn't there something in the state constitution, and when they made the deal to become part of the United States, that they can take a vote within their own state legislators to secede from the union?
Yep, it's also the only state in the union where you can fly the Texas flag on the same level as the American flag.
I did not know that.
Every other state, the American flag is supposed to be on top, and your state flag is supposed to be below it. But in Texas, they can be they can be together.
So on the ground, what is are people just how much worse has crime gotten in Dallas? How much have you seen a real difference in what's going on there?
Not up here in North Texas so much, but down south, I hear Houston, Galveston, Corpus Christi, anywhere along the Rio Grande Valley, McAllen. All of those areas, it's getting bad. I mean, and there's a reason for all of this struggle, and there's a reason Greg Abbott, the governor, wants to do this. It's because there's a need for it. That's why he's not just doing it just because there's a need for it, and it's It's disappointing, the federal government can't get on the same page with us.
It's you can't have an open border, and the video that I see are not a bunch of families coming across the border. It's a bunch of military-aged men running across the border. There's video of this one of the most wanted of 100 terrorists in the world coming across the border saying, "You don't know who I am, but you will know me soon." Yep. And how many more people? I saw a video this morning of military-aged men from China, from India, from the Middle East. I mean, these are not, people seeking political asylum.
No.
For their, to send money back to their families.
These aren't people trying to better their lives in a better country. No. These are people that have malicious intent, and that's the scary part.
It's horrible. And it is a dereliction of duty. It is not enforcing the laws, and to even suggest that there are not laws on the books to keep a border closed is ridiculous. It's been that way. It's just a matter of wanting to enforce them or not wanting to enforce them, and clearly for political gain, it works for Joe Biden, and it's a shame. It's horrible. I mean, this is not trying to get political. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. You have to have borders. You have to have borders, or you don't have a country. It's ridiculous.
We even have a border with Canada that's patrolled. I mean, come on. I mean, that's where
I saw a story last night about how organized these efforts are. I mean, the Red Cross is literally printing up multicolored pamphlets to give to people to show the different ways to get to the United States, like 18 different ways, like step-by-step instructions. Take this road, get on this train, get on this boat, get on this thing, like from the Red Cross. I mean, this is not some organically motivated political asylum thing going on. It's a very, very complex, planned invasion of the southern border, and that's just the facts. That's not a political opinion, and it's already cost a lot of people their lives, and it's going to get a lot worse. And again, it's not all immigrants are not bad, but a lot of these people are coming here with malicious intent, and to not allow Texas to patrol its own border. I mean, that's
criminal.
And now you're sending the U.S. Army down there to fight the National Guard. Americans are going to be back. Well, it's just like
Civil War.
Yeah, I mean, when you wake up in the morning and I go on Twitter, let's see some topics to talk about. Oh, World War III is trending this morning. Well, good morning to you as well.
Yeah,
good morning to you as well.
Hello, America.
Yeah, what's left of it.
Oh my gosh.
Which brings us, while we're waiting on Chief, to the political conspiracy theory that is the Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift marriage. Listen, anybody who knows me knows I'm all interested in those types of things, but I see now there's a lot of people getting into the NFL's business, promoting these type of conspiracy theories that you look kind of stupid. You look kind of stupid to suggest that the games are completely fixed to get the Chiefs into the world championship, the Super Bowl. Come on now. Now, listen, can they make it favorable for the Chiefs to get in? Oh, sure. I think maybe, I don't think the NFL hates the idea that the whole Taylor Swift Kelce thing continues to go in. And so here's their argument. Mr. Pfizer, all right, Kelce, who's recently attached to Big Pharma, right? Suddenly Taylor Swift, who is a very left-leaning, has been very critical of Trump. Was very pro-Biden, although hasn't been very pro-Biden lately.
Nobody has.
No. So she's they're very much courting him. I hear, Karine Jean-Pierre and many other Democratic operatives who are outwardly, publicly courting Taylor Swift. We've seen the articles that 18% of people would vote for whoever Taylor Swift was going to endorse. I would suggest those same 18% people were going to vote Democrat anyway.
Probably,
so I don't think it's a big boost to the ticket. I don't think, if Taylor Swift were to give her endorsement, that the 45% people that are in the middle, 18% I don't think those people in the middle are necessarily going to be swayed by who Taylor Swift is going to endorse as president. So I think that's a little bit overblown. Now, is this a publicity stunt? I was watching, I couldn't get the girl's name, but evidently she was on Dancing with the Stars. she was talking about how her publicist came to her and suggested and even set up a date with an NFL player to get her more notoriety, get her, the paparazzi, get that. So yeah, go out on a date with this guy. We'll set up the paparazzi. They'll be outside the restaurant when you got her inside, when you come out. So this is all going to be part of literally set her up with an NFL player. If you don't think those things are happening in the world of entertainment, you're being naive. Of course they are. Now, does the NFL need Taylor Swift to become more popular? I don't know about that.
No.
Now, does she bring a different demographic to the NFL? Absolutely.
That's the key right there.
100% she does.
People that wouldn't otherwise watch.
That wouldn't otherwise watch the NFL, now watching the NFL? Yeah, probably. Are they going to be lifelong fans when this relationship fizzles? Probably not.
Nope.
But yeah, does it bring more eyeballs? No question about it. The whole thing. Now, I would also say there's a very large portion of the audience that is turned off by this. And I think you see that reflected on Twitter all over the place. But, that's a little bit back to P.T. Barnum. Any good publicity, any publicity is good publicity. Not necessarily that's true anymore.
No, not anymore.
But yeah, I think that the dots could easily be connected. And do I think there's something to the publicity of it? Do I think it's true love? I'm going to be a little cynical here. And not that I know a lot about Taylor Swift, but my daughter has filled me in on a lot of it. We've had a lot of conversations about who she's dating and why she's dating it.
How old is your daughter?
She's 21.
Gotcha.
We've kind of grown up in that Swiftie,
Mm-hmm.
And I've taken her to every Taylor Swift conference that has come to Tampa. It's kind of our thing. I'm a Swiftie. I like her music. I like her early music. I like some of it. The later stuff. Her politics.
I can't name one song that she sings.
Not a big fan. No, love it. I taught her chords and she fell in love with music because of Taylor Swift music. So
that's awesome.
It's been a huge part of her life. And I'm a big fan. I love going to her concerts. I think she's incredibly entertaining. Mm-hmm. I think she's very, very talented. She may not be the greatest singer, but she's a great writer. Again, I don't necessarily agree with her politics, but I can recognize
separate
talent.
Those, right?
I can recognize talent and see, she's got a lot of haters. I get it. So, but I can recognize that. And, is this part of some big conspiracy theory? I doubt it. I'm going to say no in terms of the political part of it, but yes, in terms of publicity, I wouldn't put that past her. So I think it is kind of fun though, that the two worlds have now collided, right?
And I feel like something that's getting lost in all of this is how hard Travis, and I'm in no way a Travis Kelce fan, obviously.
No, I'm over that deal.
Is how hard he had to try just to get her to go out with him. Like he told stories on his podcast. I think we talked about it on the show.
We did. He was like, I tried to get her my number.
Yeah, he showed up at one of her shows trying to give her his number, and she gave him the Heisman. Like, I don't know who you are,
Yeah, and then somebody, isn't that interesting? It's like she gave him the Heisman, and she's never dated anybody like that. Like, he's a lunkhead. Let's just be honest. He's not some deep thinker.
No, he went to Cincinnati.
Dragger. Listen, he's a knuckle dragger. There's a lot of super smart guys in the NFL, right? He ain't one of them. He's a knuckle dragger.
Just listen to his podcast sometime.
He's a mullet. He's a knucklehead. And she does not date those guys. She goes for guys that are much more cerebral, that are talented, that are great writers, and all those things that are like what do they even talk about? Are you kidding me? I mean, come on. Are you kidding me? So that definitely is a red flag for me. So is this political? Maybe. Is it publicity? No question about it. Are they truly in love? Hell no. Hell no. No, I don't. And I think maybe when Travis put that out there, some publicity hound or political person said, wait a minute here. Here's an opportunity. Let's get this working. Yeah. I don't think there's I would definitely subscribe to that.
Yeah, there's no question.
So I don't know. Let me get to some comments here. You guys are talking about this. That's it. Tom Brady trending, by the way. Poach Brady from Fox and hire him as an OC. That's a hell no for me.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Yeah, that's a hell no for me. You criticize players now in articles or broadcasts in a professional, proper manner, and these athletes get butthurt over it. Oh, absolutely, bro. 100%. You want to talk about thin-skinned? Wow. But I will say this. Writers, thin-skinned. Really thin-skinned. Really thin-skinned.
And you can't have thin skin in this business, man.
No, you cannot.
I get lit up several times a day
on
social media about the things I write and about our shows, and it's just you just got to laugh,
This one from K-Dub4. The Bucks don't get OC to continue with Baker's success. Just the thought Falcons' new OC Johnson worked with Baker at Rams, helping him with the playbook. What do you think about Baker joining the Falcons? It's not inconceivable. It's not inconceivable. And I don't know what's going on behind the scenes right now, but I think Jason Light is where I know this. They were talking to Baker about a contract extension during the season. That is confirmed. Baker and they were having conversations. Clearly that deal is not done. And there's probably a bit of a gulf in terms of money. And I don't know. But I tell you what, if there's a point of leverage for Baker Mayfield and his agent, that's it.
Yeah, and this could turn into a bidding war for Baker too, because there's going to be other teams interested.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, we got Bobby calling. Hang on.
All right, we'll get him on here. Absolutely, folks. I would 100% think if you're Baker Mayfield's agent and you're not doing that, you're not doing your job. You're not doing your job. So, and I've said if I'm Baker Mayfield, I'd put together a deal with the Bucks that is good for me and good for the team. And I prioritize team, lifestyle, future, people I trust over money. If he doesn't do that, I think it's a big mistake. I think it's a huge mistake on his part. He can make more money pitting the Falcons against the Buccaneers. There's no question about that. But that means Mike Evans might not be here. Yeah, I that would be foolhardy if I was Baker Mayfield. But it's his business, his life. All right, we got Bobby. Bobby the Chief Taylor joining us here after a nice little walk of the dog in the brisk Tampa Bay weather. What's up, my friend? How are you?
Good, JP. Actually, I had a friend of mine that I hadn't talked to in months call me, and I couldn't get him off the phone.
Been there.
I think we've all been there, my friend.
Oh, one more thing. And his one more thing turned out to be 40 minutes later.
It's quite all right. That gave us time to get into the Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift, political ramifications, conspiracy. So we had plenty of fun with that. So there you go. Now we can talk some hockey with you, my friend. First of all, you just got back from the Flyers' 50th reunion, did you not? The Stanley Cup team?
Yes. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Any stories you can tell publicly?
Well, actually, it was a whirlwind. Holy crap! I got up there. Jan and I got up there around 5:00, I guess, Thursday, and they had a reception and a couple of things for us to do. But Friday was like we went from 8:30 to 11:30. We never stopped. It was parents here, signing this here, doing this stuff here. And they had an alumni game between the Lightning, or I keep calling them the Lightning, the Flyers and Boston alumni that night. They had like 12,000 fans out for that.
Wow.
And and they honored us. They came out on the ice and it was really kind of cool about that. And what was great about it, JP, is that I saw guys I haven't seen in 30 years. And Phil told me that was going to happen.
Yeah.
And I said, Bernie Perrant and I were the goalies, and Ben was there, and he's just as wacky as ever. Oh, man, he's funny. Anyway, and so Clarky was there. He was there on Friday, and it was really hard for all of us to really catch up, for long periods of time because they had us moving around so much and doing so many stuff, because it was a big fundraiser for the Flyers alumni. They support a lot of charities up there. And I mean, I'll tell you what, I think I got carpal tunnel syndrome right now because I signed so many autographs. I don't know. In fact, at the end of the day, I forgot how to spell my name.
you know, Chief, we criticize the Philly fans all the time for being brutally rude to people and, throwing human feces on teams that you wear the other team's jersey, all those horrible things that Philly fans do. But I do respect them for their fandom. I mean, they turn out for every event. They are rabid, and I'm guessing for this particular event, the fans were out in numbers because they don't forget, right? They don't forget about these legendary teams that you were part of.
I got off the plane. I'm walking towards the luggage, and the guy says, "Chief, do you mind if you take a picture with you?" And my wife looked at me and says, "How the hell do you recognize you?" I said, "Honey, we're in Philly."
That's right.
Dude,
Yeah.
The thing is, I think what really was such a big deal about our team in the 70s era, the Broad Street Bullies, was that, the Flyer or the Philadelphia sports scene wasn't really one of winners at that time.
No.
No. And when we won those back-to-back cups and then got beat by Montreal in the finals of '76, everybody started to get better.
Yeah.
The Sixers got better because then they got Barkley, then they got Dr. J, Dougie
J,
Collins, and it was, and then Chocolate Thunder, Moses Malone,
yeah, Moses Malone,
and then the Eagles were getting better too.
That's right.
So it was, and that's why everybody, a lot of fans were saying, why didn't they put that whole team in the Philadelphia Hall of Fame, the Flyer Hall of Fame?
Yeah,
because we're the guys that started it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I don't know, but it was fun. I mean, gosh, Reggie Leach and I, we laughed so hard together, because we used to it's like now when Phil and I get mistaken for one another because we got gray hair.
Yeah.
Well, Reggie and I, we're dark skin, high cheekbones. And Reggie I think he's full blooded.
Yeah.
And native. And he and I would laugh like crazy about all the stuff because we got mistaken for one another all the time when we were playing.
You could get away with some shenanigans.
You argue with people. Yeah, JP, you argue with people. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I remember one time we were at dinner over in South Jersey, and Clarkie was there, and there was about 3 couples. And this guy said, Reggie, can I be your autograph? Says, I'm not Reggie. And we went on and on for like 10 minutes. Now, Clarkie does not have a really, really long fuse. He's got a short fuse. Hey, Chief, will you sign the damn thing, Chief, so we can get rid of this guy?
Exactly.
So I signed it, Reggie Leach. And the guy said, see, I told you.
It doesn't even matter.
Reggie and I were talking about that story. We were laughing like crazy.
Good times, man.
I'm so glad I went because I hadn't seen a lot of those guys in 30 years.
Yeah, that's good stuff,
crazy.
Man. Hey, well, you know what? We'll be talking about. You and I will probably be long gone, but I have a feeling they're going to be looking back on these Lightning teams very much the same way. I mean, they got 4 legit Hall of Famers, in my opinion, right now that are playing in their prime, and maybe even 5. They've already won 2 cups, been to 4 finals. I mean, it's been an incredible run, but it's far from over, or at least it should be.
Yep.
And what we've seen for the first half of this has not been spectacular, but we thought, this team would grow and get better. And that's exactly what we've seen now as we go to the break. They've won 8 of 9, 7 in a row at home. They're squarely in the playoff hunt. And better than that, it's 3 goals or less now, Chief. And that's where this team has improved. And every bad pass that ended up in the back of the net in the first 35 games, that's not happening anymore. And to me, that's been the big difference. What are your thoughts?
Oh, big time. Defense. Phil and I talk about it off the air all the time. If we don't get better defensively, we're not going to go anywhere because that's how you win.
Yeah.
And it's funny, when I was up in Philly, I was talking, like Dave Brown played for the Flyers. He's a big scout for them now. Paul Holmgren, who was, I think he's the president of the team now or something, but he was a general manager and player. And they just raved about how good a Kuchov is. They just say, this kid doesn't get the recognition at all. He says he's one of the best players in the league, if not the best. I mean, Connor McDavid, rightfully so, but he says they just marvel about how good Kuch is. They just can't believe the things that he does, and it was really kind of refreshing to hear that, because he doesn't get the recognition as he should because he's so good. And I always say that because we're south of the Mason-Dixon line, nobody pays attention to us.
Yeah, exactly.
But
100%.
yeah, so I agree with you. And he's having one of his best seasons ever. And that's it. I think, he's one of those players that we keep telling you that he drags people along with him. Makes you play better, makes you do things better. And I was glad to have him. But everybody kept saying to me, even the old farts that I played with, were saying, "Yep, you guys are starting to come now. We knew that
Yep.
was going to happen." So,
Chief, and watching Cooch play, he's taken it to a different level this year. His aggressiveness in terms of shooting the puck has been all the difference, and that's opened up passing lanes now, right? Because teams are just starting him to play for the pass, and now he's varied his game, and now he's got a two-way go. He can do whatever he wants, and it's really opened up the ice for him and for the team, right? I mean, to me, that's been the difference.
JP, I liken it to the two statues out front. They got Phil's there, and then Andy's came. And I said, you know what, Andy? When they put up your statue, you really confused the pigeons. They don't know which ones to dump on now. So now when Cooch shooting the puck, you've got every defensive team in the league going, oh no, what are we going to do now?
Right.
We look out for Stammer, or do we look out for Cooch? What are we going to do?
Yeah, this is a good problem to have, but it's the secondary scoring, as you well know, that's gonna make the difference between a good playoff run and a Stanley Cup. We've seen some kids come up recently, especially on the defensive side. I think we need a little bit more push from secondary scoring here. What are your thoughts on maybe a move at the deadline, or maybe we just got to get more from some of these guys?
I think we just got to get more, because like Sherry and Mott, they play with some pretty good teams, especially Sherry. He played in Boston or Pittsburgh, some good teams there. And I think they're going to start to come too. A lot of it is, those guys that have done it in the past did get power play time, So when you're getting a lot of production as a player, you're getting a lot of power play time, and they haven't had that much power play time. And but I think what's really happened for me is those two kids coming on defense. Lilleberg and Crozier, and I know they just sent Crozier back, but probably for the break, because he can still play. You get more ice time. But those two kids came in and played like gangbusters. And when you got the biggest thing, and you and I've talked about this forever, when you got Chernak and Sergachev out, and that's a big hole. But what happens is you have to have guys that maybe are very effective at 10 minutes a game or 11 minutes a game, are now forced to play 15 minutes a game. And it doesn't sound like a lot, but it really is. And I think when those kids come in, they took a lot of those extra minutes away, because the coaching staff had great faith in them, and they got to play their 12 minutes a game. So now that extra 3 and 4 minutes, they gobbled up. So the guys that are taking the place of Chernak and Sergey, they only have to play a couple extra minutes a game, which anybody can handle that. But 5 and 6 minutes more is a lot to ask for guys that, their ability might not be able to transcend to that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting.
That's the big part.
Yeah, and I was saying this the other day with Brian Engblom on our post-game show. I said Lilleberg has brought a dimension to this defense that we haven't had. And I said, I haven't talked to you about this, but I know you love it. He takes the body, right? He eliminates people. And I'm like, that's Chief's thing right there.
The puck carrier, especially, every time they keep talking about time, limiting time and space. Well, if you keep backing off that puck carrier, you're just giving the guy time and space to play.
Yep.
And they say, well, they got to come to the middle. Well, you know what? These guys are good enough. They can do that. So if you eliminate them and protect the blue line, make it harder for the guys to get across the blue line. That's the key for it. And you know what? He doesn't put him in the fifth row. I mean, he's got he had that one really great hit, I guess, when I was up in Philly, but you just have to pin them against the boards. The puck stays there.
Yes.
If you don't do that, now he's got the time to make it and wait for the guy to get open. And these kids and these guys that play the game today are so adept at the offensive end of the game, that they will find openings. Yeah. And that's the biggest thing.
Yeah, I love his game, and the fact that he stayed and the other guys went back tells me that he may stay for a while, which is a good thing. Chief, as you look at the rest of the schedule here, and I think Eric Erlinson said the Lightning have played a lot of their toughest part of their schedule. I think they have the 27th easiest schedule the rest of the way. How do you see this thing playing out? How do you? I mean, you look at the other teams. Especially the way the Lightning have played lately, I like their chances to not only secure a spot, but be one of the better teams heading into the playoffs. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, one of the things too is that all these games in hand that teams had on us are now being eliminated.
Yeah.
And I think Toronto still has 3 or 4 anyway.
Yeah.
And that's the key. Yes, they have to win them. I understand that, but that's the one thing why this run for the Lightning is so important, is because they're staying pace with these people, staying pace with them after playing all these games. And if you're falling behind, then you got less games to make that up. And but I think for me, it's another thing that's going to be good for it too is that when you're playing every second day, you have no time to practice. Rest is such an important part of this because you're traveling so much and you're going through 3 time zones in the course of travel.
Right.
And that just beats your body up. And now with the lesser games, you got more time between games. That gives them more time to practice. When something's starting to go south, they can really change the course of it right now and say, okay, now this is what we got to do. We can't do this all the time. We got to do this. And that really helps out there. You can correct mistakes better when you don't have as many games, and that might be a real big factor for them in the push for the playoffs.
Well, we shall see, Chief. It's going to be a fun time, and I'm looking forward to it because now this stage is all the Lightnings. The Bucks are done. The Rays are away is off, and nobody cares about them anyway. So this is the Lightning's time. This is the Lightning's time, and it's going to be fun. I can't wait for this playoff drive and into the postseason. It's going to be fun. Thanks for joining us, partner. Appreciate it.
Hey, quick one question though,
Yes.
JP. One question.
Yes,
There's
sir.
one more holiday left. Are you going to dress up for that? Valentine's Day. I thought
You're talking about, I was going to say Valentine's Day. What do you want me to dress up as for Valentine's Day? Cupid?
Cupid.
You want me to become Cupid? Box of chocolates.
Yeah. Or Forrest Gump. Either way, Forrest Gump or a box of chocolates.
All right. Listen, I'll start working on that just for you. I'll be a big candied heart. How's that?
There you go.
I like the fact that people are now expecting it of me. I have to dress up in some goofy ass costume. Yeah.
Set a precedent now.
I love it. Thanks, Chief. I'm working on it.
You bet.
Right, I'll have to tell my bosses about that. Yeah. What would you dress up as? Cupid? So what is that? What is Cupid like? It has he wears a toga, right? Like a toga?
Cupid?
Yeah. Where's it a woman? I don't know.
No, I guess it's it's just a diaper because it's a baby, right?
It's a diaper?
I think it's a diaper and then he's got the wings and the bow and the arrow, and I'd like to see JP in a diaper. I'm just telling you.
I wore an elf costume, for God's sake.
Don't think I would not have a heyday on social media with JP in a diaper.
I think that, they're pushing the envelope here. I think somebody upstairs is like, oh, let's see if he'll do this.
That's what we do, man. By the way, you want some totally useless Philadelphia Flyers trivia?
Yeah, I do.
You know why their primary color is orange?
No.
I hate this more than anything because I love the old Flyers. So Bill Putnam, that was part of the original ownership group in '66 when they were putting this whole thing together, hired the architect firm to build the spectrum, and they were like, well, what are your colors? He's like, well, we don't know yet. And they said, well, we would like to incorporate them in the building partly. So he's fought long and hard about it. He originally wanted red, and he's like, well, Montreal and Chicago's already red. We don't want to do that. But he wanted a hot color. So he went to the University of Texas. And what's the University of Texas primary color?
Burnt orange.
Yep. And he didn't want to copy burnt orange, so he went with a brighter orange. So it's because of the stupid Longhorns that the Flyers are orange.
Wow. Who the hell knew? Yeah, I did not know that.
I know stupid stuff, especially hockey stuff.
But it's unique. It's unique for them. I like that.
It is.
Part of
It is.
Yeah,
It is.
I think they got some classic uniforms. I like the Flyers.
Man, I
uniforms.
love the logo, and that's
Yeah.
probably the only team from Philadelphia that I like is the Flyers. Because man, I grew up in the '70s, with the
Yeah.
Broad Street Bullies and Bobby and Bernie and
Yeah.
dude, I
Sparky.
that. Yeah, and it hurt because I was a Montreal kid, but I was like, man, I really like Philly, but I wasn't allowed to tell anybody that
Yeah.
in Montreal.
Of course not. No.
No, it was fun though.
I grew up in Hollywood, Florida. We had no hockey.
Sure.
I remember the first thing I ever saw with hockey was on the Wheaties box.
Really?
Brad Park from the Ranger.
Wow.
And I was like, who's this guy? What's he got in his hand? Like,
What is
the hell
this
is
sport?
this? What is
Is that
sport?
lacrosse?
Like, I'm like, wow, hockey? Like, do they play it on ice? Wow, that's kind of cool.
That's funny. Yeah, my dad always told me. My dad was never into hockey. He was a football guy, and he was like, anytime you put a bunch of grown men that are angry at each other on skates with sticks in their hands, it can't be all bad.
No,
but he never got into it.
Completely entertaining. No,
Yeah.
and when I moved here, my first team I ever covered was the Tiger Sharks in Tallahassee. And that was my first job up in Tallahassee, and I was like, and that was like, it's AA hockey, East Coast League hockey. A lot of goons, a lot of, but I loved it. I freaking loved it. And then came to Tampa and got a piece of the Lightning, and I was like, holy, this is just the greatest game. And I still, to this day, I don't understand why it's not more popular. Because, it's so fast, change on the fly, way fewer commercial breaks, for God's sakes. More physical than football nowadays.
Yeah.
More physical than football, and it used to be more physical than it is now.
Yeah, and I have a theory about that, about why I think it's not quite as popular as it could be, is because think about hockey on TV in the early days.
Yeah, you couldn't see
it was bad. It was bad. And that was a lot of people's first introduction to hockey, was watching it on TV.
Yeah.
Especially before HD.
Yeah.
And dude, it was just bad, so they kind of saw it and they were kind of out, and they just haven't given it another chance. And you got young kids now that get to watch it on TV in high def with the widescreen. You can see more of the ice, more of the action, and it's, the announcing is better, the camera coverage is better. So I think you got a lot of younger people that are getting into it, and I think it will become more and more popular even down here in the South as time goes on. But it's my number one favorite sport.
Yeah.
And then baseball is a very close second, and then football is down here, and then basketball is probably in the basement somewhere.
In terms of spectator sport, college football is my favorite.
Sure.
I love college football. I love football in and of itself, but watching, like a Lightning playoff game, as far as atmosphere, to me, it's only second to college football. That to me is just, the energy in the building. You can go 7, 8, 9 minutes without a whistle. There's no other sport like it. There's no other sport like it. You could say that about soccer, but no, guys are flopping all over the place. They stop and, forget it.
It's bad. Yeah.
It's way, and now the skill that's in the game, is just absolutely, I think part of the reason, was they have not marketed this sport very well. It was on NBC forever, and it's always been kicked to the curb. Whatever major network it's been on, it's always been kicked to the curb. They've tried, going other places, alternate programming, but they don't have big audiences to draw from. Now it's on ESPN, and it's still treated like a redheaded stepchild, as compared to the conversation that you constantly get about the NBA, because they don't have anybody on ESPN and their, main group, Stephen A's and all these other people that knows a damn thing about hockey.
No.
Pat McAfee ain't talking about hockey.
No.
So, and these are
John Buccigross knows the stuff, but he ain't on.
He does.
He ain't on any of these.
They're people that they employ are fantastic,
Yeah,
but they don't get the limelight. Even this, when they first signed on with ESPN, they're like, "Oh, we're gonna have the point on every day." No, you don't.
Nope.
They pushed everything to the back burner. You turn on at Sports Center, you're going to get way more WNBA highlights than you're going to get hockey. Please. I know WNBA is becoming more popular, but you can't tell me there's not more thirst for the NHL than WNBA.
Remember the old Orlando Solar Bears?
Yeah, they still.
Oh, are they still there? Because they folded for a while, right? And
they came
back. So they were a Stars affiliate. way back in the early 90s.
Yeah.
I still have a couple of old Solar Bear I have a Darcy Wakaluk old Solar Bears jersey in the closet over here.
Yeah, they had their mascot's very popular. The Solar Bear mascot is very popular. So
it was awesome.
Yeah, I've yet to attend a Solar Bears game because why? When I could go see the Lightning play. It's like,
I mean, yeah, you can see the Lightning all the time. We have a minor league and AHL team right down the road from me in Allen, the Allen Americans, and they're owned by a former Dallas Star, Richard Matvechuk, and a couple of other guys, a couple of his cohorts from back in the day. And they allow a lot more physical play in the AHL and the minor leagues. You get a lot more fighting in the minor leagues.
Yeah.
And it's so that's kind of the draw. They do that on purpose because they want people to come see the games, especially in cities where the Stars literally play 20 minutes down the tollway,
Right,
so
exactly. Yeah. That's
got to have a draw.
Yeah, that's got to be
it's great, man. Minor league hockey is amazing. Just like minor league baseball. I love minor league baseball.
Oh, boy, I loved it.
We got the Frisco Rough Riders right down here. I know the owner, Chuck Greenberg, good buddy of mine, and man, he puts on a show there at the little, 8,500 seat stadium. And
what the Savannah Bananas have been able to do is that is
that really baseball though? I mean, it's entertaining, I get it, but it's not real baseball.
Kind of.
You got a guy on stilts.
Well, listen, it's entertaining.
No, it's entertaining. I agree.
Is the Harlem Globetrotters really basketball?
No.
Well, but it's entertaining as hell. It's entertaining.
Are they still around?
Yeah.
Didn't they have a chick playing on the team for a while?
I don't know.
I think they had a girl playing on their team.
But they were huge when I was growing up.
Well, me too. I remember my dad taking me down to Reunion Arena in 1981 to see the Harlem, and that was like the highlight of my life at the time. Yeah,
my mom took me to the Bayfront Center. The Bayfront Center in Miami. They played in Meadowlark Lemon, threw the pail of confetti all over me.
Oh, that's awesome.
Greatest day of my life. You kidding me?
Meadowlark Lemon.
Yeah.
Curly Neal.
Yeah.
Yep. Gotta love those guys.
Absolutely. All right, we'll take our final break. I want to get to a couple of comments here from Lonnie Wilkins and Christopher Cole.
We're kind of beating everybody to death with like a conversation like we're in a bar.
Yeah, exactly. It's fun. Very entertaining, I'm sure. People love this stuff. Absolutely love it. We are brought to you by the great folks at Synovus Bank. It is a big bank with a local bank feel. Go on in there and ask for John Acosta or any of the local bankers there. They've been doing it for a long time. John's been in banking business since 1983 here locally, and they have plenty of people just like him employed at Synovus Bank. That's their deal. The big bank with the local bank feel. Get that personalized service that you deserve in your personal banking or in your business banking. Slide it on over to Synovus Bank. Go to synovusbank.com. Back in 3. Stay with us.
Jamie here for the Jeeves Law Group, Jeeves. Call for a free case evaluation, 888-9-JEEVES. That's 888-9-JEEVES. We're local, we're trusted. The law firm brings over 80 years of combined legal experience focusing on clients in Tampa Bay, the state of Florida, and national class action cases. If you're injured, get that free case evaluation, no cost to you. The Jeeves Law Group's focus is on auto, truck, and motorcycle accidents, as well as class action and consumer protection law. Scott Jeeves is a board-certified civil trial lawyer and a certified circuit court mediator practicing in the Tampa Bay area for over 30 years. You hear him on the show all the time. Great guy, big Gator fan, and great for the community. The Jeeves Law Group is a highly skilled team with years of experience that will apply their skills, expertise, and knowledge to assist individuals who have been in an accident with compensation for damages, lost wages, medical expenses, pain and suffering, and property damage. Get that free case evaluation, 888-9-JEEVES. That's 888-9-JEEVES.
JP here for the Geddes Gordon Real Estate Group and our good friend Jane Geddes. Folks, simply put, there is nobody like Jane. Jane is a former LPGA two-time major championship winner. She was also vice president of talent relations at WWE. She also has a law degree from Stetson. So if Jane can drain a 10-footer to win the U.S. Open and stare down Hulk Hogan in the boardroom, you want Jane on your real estate team to not only negotiate the best deal, but find you the perfect home or investment property. And when you work with the Geddes Gordon Group, you become part of the real estate family and get concierge services that include expertly staging, marketing, and preparing your home for sale. Advice on golf properties. Hey, you might even get some golf tips. Many of their clients become friends long after the sale or purchase is completed.
It's all part of the deal. So if you're looking for that perfect home or investment property or trying to get top dollar for your home, go with Jane Geddes and the Geddes Gordon Group, because there's nobody like Jane. Call 813-485-6808 or go to geddesgordon.kw.com. That's GEDDES Gordon.kw.com, or call 813-485-6808.
JP here for my good friends at Italiano Insurance, and they did it again. Once again, Italiano Insurance stepping up with the best customer service. I was in a bind. My old insurance company, my auto insurance, jacked up my rates, so I called Charity at Italiano Insurance, and she stayed till 9:30 at night until she got my insurance done. And guess what? She searched all these companies for me. I didn't do the work. She did. Saved me $1,000 on my annual premium. $1,000, folks. That's real money. And that's what you get at Italiano Insurance. Great customer service. And here's another note for you, by the way, with hurricane season up. 40% of people in Florida are underinsured. That means if you have something happen during a hurricane and you need replacement costs, you're going to get 40% less than you deserve. Can't let that happen. Call the folks at Italiano Insurance and get them to help you out in both those regards. They will save you money and keep you insured properly. That's 813-877-7799. Great folks in the community, been doing it for over 60 years. Italiano Insurance, 813-877-7799.
Let's go. Right now. Back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by American Mortgage Services and the Geddes Gordon Group. You've been sitting on the sidelines in the real estate game because of the high interest rates. Well, maybe time to jump back in. That's what the smart people are doing. The rates are ticking down. And when they get all the way down, everybody's jumping back in. So prices are going to soar. So if you're looking at a certain house or a certain area, now is a good time to jump back in. Get that place that you want while the prices are low. Come back and refinance if the rates get even lower. At least you'll have the house that you want. So contact the GeddesGordonGroup.com, Jane Geddes, to find the house. And then Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services, Scott at AMSTampa.com. Hey, congrats to Baker Mayfield and Tristan Wirfs, who have been added to the Pro Bowl roster. So Tristan Wirfs can come over here and probably play linebacker in the flag football game.
Right.
What do the offensive linemen do? What do they do?
What do you think about this new Pro Bowl format while we're on the topic?
Couldn't care less. I actually like it better than the faux football.
I like it better than the old game because it wasn't a game, and I think guys probably are more interested in it. Just like I love the skill stuff they do in the NHL All-Star. Like I think that's great.
That's fun stuff. That's what it should be,
I just don't think anybody really cares.
Well, football just does not lend itself to exhibition fake games. It just doesn't. I mean, baseball, you can do it. That's why baseball's all-star game is pretty good. Hockey, I love, the 3-on-3 that they've come up with. Yeah. That's cool. That's fun. Just have some fun with it. I think flag football, I mentioned it years before they went to it. I said, just do a flag football game. I mean, because I used to play flag football all the time, and I always wondered, like, what would it be like to see actual NFL players play flag football? And it's interesting. It is an interesting game. I mean, the game itself is becoming flag football, so why not?
Pretty much, yeah. It's amazing to me that when I watch people, especially defensive backs, try to tackle, nobody freaking wraps up. It's a hit. And you got guys that are good enough, running backs and receivers that are good enough, they just bounce off of those hits sometimes. Nobody freaking puts arms around legs or bodies anymore. It drives me crazy.
Yeah, it's just become such a weird game. And the way it's manipulated by the officials now, it's just those of us who've been a fan of the game for a long time remember how much different it is. You go back and watch a game from the 80s. I mean, it's like totally different sport. And we've gotten conditioned now, like this is football. This ain't football.
It's not.
It's
an entirely different game.
Yeah. And people say, well, we don't want it to be a gladiator sport. Folks, the reason the NFL screwed it up is because they were hiding the information from the players about CTE.
Yeah.
That's where they effed up. Now that the players know what's at stake and there's much more and You see a lot of guys like Ali Marpet and others that are, choosing to end their careers early because maybe they feel some of the CTE. We even now know that the MRIs of the brains can show, how much CTE, how much damage there's already been to the brain. So players know when to call it quits. So, and they know how to protect themselves too. I mean, like Rondé Barber said, never had a concussion in his career because he didn't tackle with his head. He tackled with his shoulder. So you can change the game in the right way, but you don't have to take the aggressiveness and the hitting out of the game.
Yep.
So anyway, there's ways to do it, but now the NFL is just in full CYA mode.
Yeah.
When it comes to that, and it's bastardized the game, in my opinion. So a couple of things I wanted to get to today before we get out of here. FSU has amended their complaint towards the ACC. And they've done it in a very interesting way. John Swofford, the old commissioner that did the deal with ESPN back in 2016, I believe, is that whole deal is being targeted now for the way that it went down. There was a lot of fraudulent things that were in the original deal and promises of increases in revenue and escalators and all these things that never came to fruition and never were going to come to fruition. And also the fact that John Swofford's son, Chad, worked for Raycom Sports at the time, and Raycom got all these special deals out of it. So there was shenanigans going on. There was shenanigans going on when this deal was done, and there's been shenanigans ever since that gives ESPN a 50% profit margin on these deals compared to the ACC or compared to the SEC and the Big Ten. When you have a media rights deal that's some 50-60% below market value, something is wrong. Somebody didn't do their due diligence. Somebody made a deal and maybe got paid off. So there's a lot of things in this complaint. There was a nice article in the Times the other day by Matt Baker, who talked to some legal scholars about some of the finer points that FSU has in their complaint. And to me, it looks, where this is once thought of some ironclad agreement, it looks like it has a lot of holes in it from a legal standpoint. And I just don't see how FSU does not get out of this deal, especially given, once they get into the discovery and the depositions of what happened in the college football playoff, that's when things are really going to get ugly. Or at ESPN's area, they want no part of that. And so it'll be interesting to see how this thing goes down. And the venue, the ACC wants the venue to be in Charlotte. The FSU obviously wants it to be in Leon County Court. So that battle is going to be interesting to see how that's fought and won. But, to me, from the legal people that I've talked to, and now these developments even further, FSU is ratcheting up the pressure. And I think they're going to uncover a lot of things that were done that were untoward. And once that becomes, then you start getting into settlement talks when the ACC and ESPN realize that if they go to court, there could be even bigger losses.
Yeah.
And that's when FSU gets a reasonable buyout. They get out and they go to the Big Ten. So, but again, for ESPN, there's hundreds of millions of dollars at stake. And this is why they hate FSU. And this is because they tried to dissolve the ACC.
Yeah.
So it's money and power, my friend. Money and power.
That's what it's all about. It's just a business.
Christopher Cole said the NFL has made $331 million off of Swift. How do you come up with that number?
Yeah, I'd like to know too. I saw that.
Not
disputing it. I would like to know where it came from, though.
Yeah, exactly. I'm trying to figure that out. Like how, so I guess they're saying the increased viewership for Chiefs games because of 10 to 15 cutaways of Taylor Swift.
Oh, Jesus.
I mean,
Travis Kelce jersey sales.
Like jersey sales are so over,
Yeah.
I know they make money on it, but come on. Like how do they arrive at that number? I mean,
Yeah, I'd like to know.
If she's doing free concerts and they're getting ticket revenue, I can see where that money comes from. But as far as I've seen, that's not happened. So yeah, any Christopher, if you can add some light to that, I would love to know. I want to get to a couple of other things. Lonnie Wilkins said, he said, I majored in broadcast journalism my senior year. They laid off most of the department, seasoned faculty, and merged us with the journalism department. The writing was on the wall that it was dying, which was weird because broadcast journalism was where the business was going, as opposed to just regular journalism, written journalism. So that was weird. But Said even the job market is a desert for many graduates where internships are hard to get. And the next step from that isn't really there to advance, but we pay our dues and hope for the best. Yeah, there's just, there's not a whole lot of money in it anymore because most of the money is tied up in rights fees that go to the NFL and the NBA and all these other places. A lot of these local places, these local radio stations, and turned them into a corporation. So, and syndicated everything. So you gutted the radio industry of having local broadcasts, which is what they're supposed to be for.
Mm-hmm.
Local signals are supposed to be for local broadcasts, but the government allowed this takeover to happen. So that decimated not only the local radio markets, but also local sports radio that, so many of these stations were just syndicated. That happened to me in Atlanta. We were the flagship station for the Falcons. And, we had a whole lineup of local talk shows, and they just decided to go syndicated ESPN.
Really?
Yeah. So those are, that's 25 jobs just wiped out right there, local jobs. So, and you can get the syndication anywhere. Why do you even put syndication on local signals?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't get that. So it's part of our conversation we had about how local media has been gutted because so much of this, so much of the revenue now is taken up by corporations. Sucks.
Yeah.
Sucks for you, the local person. Sucks for you that we don't have, another newspaper or more websites that can deal with more local stuff. So we'll see. We'll see what the future holds.
Especially if your only local option is ESPN all-day radio programming, because literally you hear nothing of value.
Nothing. Zero.
Nothing of value.
Zero. But you got how many local radio stations you have in Dallas? Sports stations.
Sports stations?
You have 3, right?
We have 2. We don't have an ESPN anymore. Yeah, ESPN went away because it was always a distant third. We have 105.3 The Fan and 96.7 The Ticket, which was
you have a lot of guys that are
in
sports are the guys that are on the shows that played the game or been TV anchors or journalists or
no. I mean, as guests, they will have regular guests, that are athletes, or former athletes or part of the Cowboys radio broadcast or whatever. But pretty much your full lineup from morning to through drive time are radio guys. And I love it. I love it that way.
Yeah.
Now we're also, associated with 97.1 The Fan up in Columbus, Ohio, and now they got several athletes on in their, day-to-day lineup, especially Ohio State guys, of course.
Of course, yeah.
But no, man, here, and that's kind of unique these days. Is it's pretty much straight radio guys, which is great.
The one station that still exists here is like consistently 19th or 20th in the ratings.
Really?
Yeah. One station.
Mm.
Crazy. All right. We will take a break until tomorrow, and we'll be back. And don't forget, you can listen to this program anytime as a podcast on Apple or Spotify or on YouTube, obviously at FanStream Sports, the JP Peterson Show, fanstreamsports.com, Facebook, Twitter at FanStreamJP or the JP Peterson Show. Please like and subscribe to all those different places so you can get the show anytime you want. You don't have to sit through 8-minute commercial breaks. And you get the local stuff that you want. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Tell a friend, tell an enemy. We'll be back tomorrow. See you then. Have a great day, everybody.